Now, a new criminal inquiry into the Hillsborough disaster has been set up to secure justice for the 96 victims after the High Court today quashed the original verdict of accidental death. Relatives of those who died cheered and applauded as the decision was announced. New inquests into the tragedy, which was nearly a quarter of a century ago, will now be held in the new year. And the new inquiry means that police officers, the Football Association and a local council all face potential prosecution. Fatima Manji reports.
They've waited for more than 2 decades. It was delivered within less than 2 hours. The possibility that the courts may finally recognise how their loved ones really died.
I think it is clear now, justice is on its way. We could come out with something like a small step for mankind, but it's a huge step for the families.
These are the images of a national tragedy. 96 Liverpool fans died at the Hillsborough Stadium in 1989. They are the memories of the final moments, of sons and daughters never to return home. And yet the picture of how they died is still unclear. The original inquest into their deaths called it an accident, to the shock and disbelief of the families. For years they maintained there had been a campaign of deliberate misinformation to cover up what happened that day. In September, an independent panel found exactly that. And today, once again, the families were vindicated.
The Lord Chief Justice said he admired and respected that determined search for the truth over the years, despite the setbacks. He said that he regretted it had been such a long and dispiriting process for the families. And as he concluded by saying a new inquest shouldn't be delayed, the family members began to clap. One simply shouted, "Thank you."
Margaret Aspinall lost her 18-year-old son, James.
Over the past 23 years, there's many a time that we've come out of a High Court and put our thumbs up thinking, you know, we've won something, only to be knocked back again. And I just hope this elation that the families are feeling today carries on now and they see the justice through.
Justice that hadn't been served at the original inquest. The coroner, Dr. Stefan Popper, refused to take evidence from after 3:15 p.m. He said the victims had all died by this point when the first ambulance arrived. That cut-off point will be investigated as part of the new inquest. New medical evidence suggests 58 of the victims probably could have survived after that time. It will consider the blood alcohol levels of the victims, which were allegedly exaggerated by police to deflect blame onto the fans. The 116 emergency service statements which were altered to conceal the behaviour of the police. And new evidence which suggests the stadium itself hadn't met basic safety requirements. And today the Home Secretary also announced a new police investigation into the tragedy, which means there could be prosecutions. So the process begins again, an attempt to find answers and finally secure that much sought after justice.